Hello everyone, this is Chrism, and once again I would like to welcome you to this conversation about your Kundalini awakening experiences. In this conversation, I would like to talk with you about heartbreak and the Kundalini. Heartbreak is a very, very, very serious thing within the Kundalini. It can be devastating. And the Kundalini, as it does with most things, can amplify that heartbreak to a very, very strong degree. And this can really take your focus for quite some time. It can take your focus away from what you're doing, and you probably need to have that focus taken away from what you're doing and to really, really work with the emotional body. It is to say it's devastating is really not giving it the validation and the power that it deserves in its effect upon the human being. You have to understand that without our emotions, there is no enjoyment, there is no love, there is nothing. We're kind of like mindless automatons, just consuming and really not even doing anything else. Really, maybe not even consuming, because we operate our lives from our emotions, even the emotions of bliss and ecstasy. These are some of the heightened emotional states that the Kundalini will bring to us. And so the emotional body is an incredibly important facet of the Kundalini awakening and activation. And so you really want to pay strong attention to your emotional body. And if your emotions are going through the experience of a heartbreak, you really need to realize how intensely amplified that is going to be. And yet, sometimes the Kundalini wants you to have that. It wants you to have that to clear away the attachments that a relationship can have upon a person. The attachments of being taken care of or giving care, the attachments of the fear of being alone. Many different handles and attachments come within a relationship. And, it is really it can really develop into a blockage on the path of a person's Kundalini if they allow themselves to stay within a toxic relationship. And let's be clear, just because you might be having some difficulties with your partner in the relationship, or all relationships come with problems, and it's how we resolve those problems that will determine whether or not there's a toxic element to it. Sometimes two people get together and they are only supposed to be together for a short time, certainly within the Kundalini context. A certain level of learning and reception is to be given within the relationship, and then that relationship will end. And if there are strings attached, which there typically are, then those emotional heartstrings are going to need to be reduced in some way. It doesn't mean that you disrespect the partner or the soon-to-be ex-partner, right? It doesn't mean you disrespect them. It doesn't mean you don't care for them. It just means that you don't have the charge of the care for them that you had before. The old saying that if you love someone, let them go, and if they don't return, then it wasn't meant to be, and if they do return, then it was. Within the Kundalini context, Kundalini will force you to let someone go, and then maybe later on down the line, the Kundalini will bring those two people back together after certain levels of transformation have occurred, and maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it is not supposed to be in this lifetime, and that is something that the person needs to be aware of and to be able to acclimate to. It doesn't matter how many good times you've had. It doesn't matter how many bad times you've had. It doesn't matter that you still may have dependency issues on that person, or none of this matters. What matters is paying attention to your grace. And part of paying attention to your grace is to recognize the hurt that has been incurred on your emotional body. So you must cry. You must sob. And I'm not saying you got to do it in front of everybody. Do it in the privacy of your own home, or in your car, or behind sunglasses, or whatever. But you need to let the emotional body convulse, and to let out those strong emotions. You need to let it out. And the more you let out, the stronger you become. But it's not an immediate thing. It takes time. It takes, in some cases it takes years for a person to come through a heartbreak within the Kundalini. And this also goes along with the whole idea of death and grieving the loss of an individual. It's very similar to that. And so you want to take a look at the emotional investment that you have in your partner, and the emotional investment that you have with the scenario. If you've been living together for a while, then you have certain patterns that you've been following, and for a certain amount of time the Kundalini will allow you to follow those patterns, but there may come a time when those patterns are going to be changed, and that will be forced upon you. You will have no option. You will look, and you will find no options. You will find no perfect solution to those issues that you have with your partner. And so you really need to understand the dynamics of the emotional trauma that your emotional body is going through. Heartbreak is really, really hard. Most of the suicides in the United States, at least, are caused by heartbreak. They're not caused by drinking and driving, or as bad as that is. But mostly, it's a loss of the heart chakra, or a destruction of the heart chakra for a certain amount of time. And within the Kundalini, often it is a planned event. Not every time, but often it is a planned event. Sometimes it represents a fork in the road. You can go this way or you can go that way, and depending upon the direction you choose to go will determine whether or not you're going to have a heartbreak with an individual. And so, with regards to the loss of a spouse, it's a very similar thing, but even more intense, really. I've worked with people over the years, and I've worked with a few people that have had a loss of a parent or a spouse, and it's devastating. There's nothing that can be done to assist them. They must go through that pain, and that heart chakra must be allowed to rebuild itself. I don't care about the breathing exercises. I don't care about what Swami this or Master that says. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the person must go through this if they are indeed having that experience. There's no short path through it. Okay? Anger's not going to help. You may go through a period of anger, but that's not going to help. It's just going to prolong it. The best thing you can do is just wish them well, and then work on your emotional stability again. Work on your forgivenesses. Work on your patience. Work on your tolerance. Work on the noble qualities. These are just as important as any kind of physical exercise routine. Okay? Heartbreak is not easy to go through with or without Kundalini, but with Kundalini, it can be much worse because of the amplification. So consider this, my friends. Consider this. If you're going through it, pay attention to the noble qualities within you. Don't be afraid to cry. Let the tears come. They truly wash away much of the toxicity that may have been collected during the relationship, much of the codependency that may have been developed within the relationship. You need to look at these issues, and you need to understand that there is a greater plan for you than what you in your limited consciousness had yet to understand. Okay? There is a greater plan for you. Perhaps a greater relationship for you waits around the corner. But until you heal your emotional body, you're not going to be able to reach into it. So really get to work on healing that emotional body. Do volunteer work for people that have perhaps a harder life for you. Go visit elderly people at rest homes. Go volunteer for a soup kitchen. Go and just find an organization that you want to help. Even though, you may be feeling so horrible. I mean, if you're feeling so horrible, you just need to let that pass first. But as you come through this, look for a volunteering opportunity and take that opportunity. Go to the pets, to the animal shelter and visit with the creatures, visit with the cats and the dogs and pet them and walk them and take care of them until they find a home. I mean, do things like that. These things of unconditional love, these things of service for others begin to develop an amplification within the Kundalini as well, and the reverse will be true. You will be assisted. You will be helped. It will be a mirror image of what you do for others. I don't think I have anybody asking questions here, but just in case, I'm scrolling through this right now. Thank you for the sound check there, Iman. Yeah, good, okay. And if you have some topics that I haven't covered and you want me to cover them, please feel free to post those in a PM to me or on the group, any of the groups that you are involved with, that I'm involved with, and I will do my best to cover those topics. Thanks again for watching, ladies and gentlemen. May your life be blessed.